the kingdom, yours the power and glory, world without end, forevermore. Amen.
I'd like to introduce our speaker for the day, Marque Kolack.
Thank you. How many people here believe that you are a spiritual being living in a physical body? Anybody? Excellent, thank you. How many people here don't believe you're a spiritual being living in a physical body? How many people aren't quite sure? Come on, you're allowed. How many people don't really care? Good, a couple of hands went up, thank you. It's a little bit early. And how many people are just too lazy to get your hands up? Also a couple of them. Good, thank you very much. See, at that they raise their hands. So the idea here is that, this is unity, so we're inclusive. I guess that about covers everybody. The reason why I ask is I would like to consider myself a bit of a mystic. And for me, I believe that we are, in fact, spiritual beings living in physical bodies. Because otherwise, how in the world could I explain my childhood? How in the world could I explain the dicey upbringing that I had? I mean, like most of you, I started out as a child. And it's been all downhill from there. You know how most people, babies are delivered by an obstetrician? I was actually delivered by a psychiatrist. Which means that I've actually been in therapy since the instant I was born. Actually, I did some in utero coaching with me, so I was probably before I was born. I grew up in the 60s, still paying for that. I just wish I could remember it. And from a religious standpoint, I was brought up Jewish, just in case you hadn't noticed. Growing up for me was a pretty interesting situation. I call myself a mystic. My mother, who lives in OCALA, by the way, she doesn't call me a mystic. She calls me Meshuggah. Anybody know what that word means? That's a Yiddish word from the old country. It means completely and absolutely gone. And she should know, of course. In fact, I visited my mother yesterday, and I just came back from visiting her, and I can tell you that I am thrilled and delighted to be back among strangers again. My mother can throw guilt without even breaking a sweat. She's got a curveball like you wouldn't believe. I mean, growing up in my house, my mother, she had a self-criticizing oven. And you know how most people in their house have a little sign that says like, God bless our home. In our house, the sign was, warning, family members appear closer than they really are. It got to the point one summer she put an anxiety vane on the roof, just so that we could know which way the winds were blowing. The Jewish mother routine. And, but most of the time they were blowing pretty much towards anxiety. Guilt, anxiety. Guilt, anxiety, guilt, anxiety. I mean, that's the way things were, for my mother. I mean, for example, after dinner we'd come in, watch some TV or something like that. Well, not my mother. She had a remote wailing wall that was placed on the next to the on the piano, and on top of which was her dead relative metronome. Uncle Harry, Aunt Sadie, Cousin Irving, oh my God. She had this infatuation still with death, and she's got this lovely porcelain doll with angina.